At the snowy mountain, warriors from all 9 major martial sects gather together. Even the absolute top masters assemble as they prepare to face a terrifying enemy. Watching from a cliff, 2 travelers realize the sects secretly target his legendary martial arts. While the young girl believes karma has caught up to the dangerous demon, her companion doubts it. She remembers how the warrior previously destroyed infamous monsters that terrorized the land. Yet he also attacked respected righteous heroes and destroyed entire noble sects. Although she insists he must die for his crimes, the man notes that righteous people are rarely pure. Opening his eyes among fallen bodies, the warrior hears the martial artist screaming at him. The old master accuses him of drowning the world in blood while the swordsman calmly looks down. Fond memories flood his mind of a peaceful life spent with his loving wife and sleeping child. Tragedy struck when his wife died of illness, and rogue fighters set fire to his house with his daughter inside. Seeking total revenge, he slaughtered every corrupt warrior until the world branded him a demon. Tightening his grip on the weapon, he finds their speeches funny since none of them protected his young child. Overcome by burning anger, the protagonist looks up ready to make every single one of them pay. High-ranking masters surround the warrior while an old monk scolds him for bringing dishonor to the heavens. Unbothered by their words, the protagonist shouts back that he only eliminated corrupt criminals who covered up their deeds. Instead of fighting together, the greedy masters argue among themselves about capturing him to steal his sacred technique. Disgusted by their hypocritical greed, the swordsman realizes these fake heroes only care about personal wealth and power. Gripping his weapon tightly as aura surges around him, the dark warrior vows to destroy every last enemy standing before him. Moving with terrifying speed, the protagonist strikes, immediately sending the shocked leaders flying backward from the impact. With a single devastating slash, the swordsman drops several enemies while snow continues to fall. Turning around with cold eyes, he taunts the remaining leaders to attack him together. Enraged by his words, the 2 sect masters charge forward, promising to end his life. Unleashing their ultimate combined techniques, bright aura lights up the entire battlefield. Standing completely calm, the protagonist gathers his own massive aura to counter their attack. Before the leaders can react, a massive flash of energy cuts directly through both of them. Their weapons crash into the frozen ground as the defeated leaders lie helpless on the mountain. A wounded leader recognizes the legendary martial god art while the spearman admires the hero's power. Seeing a small opening, the silver-haired opponent rushes forward to begin his ambush. Leaping down with terrifying speed, the attacker thrusts his weapon, but the protagonist dodges effortlessly. Surprised by his quick reaction, the insane fighter grins wildly and prepares an even stronger assault. Unleashing a fierce barrage of strikes, the adversary overwhelms the battlefield with massive blasts of blue energy. Unable to block the full impact, the exhausted hero coughs up blood as his strength reaches its limit. Standing over him, the smirking enemy offers to spare his life in exchange for the secret martial manual. Although his energy is almost completely gone, the protagonist refuses to give up here. Deciding to burn his own life energy, a terrifying golden aura suddenly flares around his body. Realizing he wants to drag everyone to death, the panicked leaders rush forward to stop him. Before they can react, a massive explosion detonates and destroys the entire mountain peak. Coughing up blood from the devastating backlash, the broken warrior falls helplessly into the abyss. As he plunges downward, he bitterly regrets needing just one more year to finish his revenge. Reaching his bloody hand toward the sky, he apologizes to his beloved wife while fading away. Just when he thinks everything has ended, a warm little hand grabs his finger as his sweet daughter calls out to him. Opening his eyes on a sunny bed, the protagonist wakes up to find his young daughter happily resting on his chest. His beautiful wife enters the room with a tender smile while the excited child rushes directly into her arms. Tears fill the husband's eyes after realizing he traveled back in time to the days before his beloved family died. Outside their peaceful house, the loving mother crafts a delicate crown of flowers for her cheerful little girl. Even though several days pass by, the swordsman still finds it hard to believe this incredible reality. Recalling his tragic death, the warrior wonders if some mysterious illusion array from his old enemies returned him. Clenching his fist, the hero finally accepts that he truly returned to the past. As he watches his child play, he knows this peace will vanish if the future remains unchanged. With a tender hug, the protagonist resolves to do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. His caring wife hands him food for his 2-week trip while telling him to travel safely. When the young girl asks to go too, her father promises to bring back treats if she waits patiently. After waving goodbye to his loved ones, the dark warrior begins his journey with a smile. Walking through the quiet forest, he reflects that only his soul returned to this earlier time. Realizing his former strength is gone, the protagonist knows he must find new power to protect his family. Reaching a secluded rock wall, the dark warrior crawls inside a narrow cave. He recalls how an ordinary scholar like him managed to become the feared blood demon in his past life. His incredible transformation started when he discovered the skeleton of the legendary martial god. Flashbacks show angry enemies hunting him down and beating him until he was helpless on the ground. Without any fighting skills back then, he felt miserable being unable to defeat the evil leaders. While running away from his pursuers, the injured man accidentally found this cave and survived. Finding the secret spot again, the traveler wonders if that mysterious object will appear like before. Right on cue, the skeleton of the martial god shines as a golden sphere forms between its hands. Approaching the corpse, he remembers this sphere holds the ultimate technique of the martial god. Determined to rewrite his fate, the young man reaches out to claim the legendary power once again. As soon as the golden energy enters his body, an intense wave of pain strikes him immediately. Even though the agony is unbearable, the protagonist roars through the suffering to protect his family. Dark birds fly across the sky while the warrior slowly absorbs the incredible energy inside the cave. A strange vision reveals a silver-haired warrior, promising that darkness will return right before a sword slashes him down. Waking up with a sudden gasp, the young hero sits up inside the dim cave after passing out from the intense process. Glancing at the skeleton, he realizes those vivid memories belong to the ancient martial god himself. Checking his refreshed body, the dark warrior smiles after successfully absorbing the divine martial arts once again. Knowing he previously only reached the second stage, he resolves to push far beyond his former limits to save his family. Noticing his covered body, the protagonist realizes he is completely filthy and desperately needs to clean himself up. After changing into clean clothes, he notes that gaining power a second time went much smoother. Bowing respectfully to the ancient skeleton, the warrior thanks the master for the strength to protect his family. Leaving the crumbling cave behind, the hero steps outside back into the warm sunlight. Ready to return, he kicks off the ground with explosive physical speed. Soaring far above the mountain trees, the swordsman begins his long journey back home. With a big smile on his face, the dark warrior rushes forward, excited to reunite with his loved ones. Blasting through the lush green forest, leaves scatter rapidly in the wind behind his footsteps. Realizing he lost 2 extra days inside the cave, the hero pushes himself to sprint home even faster. Meanwhile, in Sodom village, friendly locals warmly greet his wife and adorable daughter as they walk together. A kind market vendor gives the sweet child a tasty snack, bringing a huge smile to her face. After asking about the husband, the woman quietly warns the mother to return home early. Dangerous thugs terrorize the local market, demanding extortion money while stepping on a townsperson. When the brave townsperson calls them street thugs, the cruel leader grows furious. Unsheathing his blade in anger, the ruthless leader prepares to strike down the helpless villager. Terrified for his life, the old man desperately grabs the thug and begs him for mercy while offering money. Taking the coin bag, the criminals mockingly walk away while the villagers help their beaten friend. Watching the scene, the worried wife prays for her husband's safety before telling her daughter to head home. As leaves drift through the air, the young child senses something and looks toward the nearby trees. Sitting quietly among the branches above, the returning protagonist watches over his family. Meanwhile, the greedy bandits laugh together on the forest trail while admiring their easy loot. While the evil thugs discuss their wicked plans, the protagonist steps out to interrupt them. Turning around in surprise, the angry criminals demand to know who stands before them. Giving them a single chance, the dark warrior demands they return the money and leave forever. Laughing mockingly at his words, one arrogant thug pokes the protagonist on his chest. Without hesitation, the hero delivers a swift blow that completely crushes the bully's jaw. As the unconscious criminal drops to the dirt, his companions stare in complete shock. Furious over his fallen comrade, the next thug leaps forward with his sword raised to strike. With a sudden counter, the protagonist easily knocks out the attacker before remarking how disappointing they are. Trembling on the ground, the terrified leader realizes his opponent knocked everyone down with impossible speed and precision. When the leader fearfully asks for his identity, the warrior calmly replies that he is just the local village teacher. Looking down at the sole survivor, the dark warrior asks the criminal what he plans to do next. Back in the village, the terrified leader returns the stolen pouch to the confused old man. Bowing deeply on the ground, the criminal desperately apologizes and even offers his clothes to prove his sincerity. Screaming that he will never return, the pathetic bandit flees as the amazed villagers watch him run away. Back in the market, the confused villagers wonder what just happened after getting their stolen money back. Meanwhile, in the forest, the trembling leader finishes his task and asks if he can finally leave. Pleading desperately, the criminal promises to change his ways and live a peaceful life far away. With glowing red eyes, the dark warrior questions if evil criminals can ever truly change. Recalling his past life, the hero remembers how this group ruined the village and sold innocent locals into slavery. Standing over his enemy, the protagonist declares that bad people never change and must pay for their crimes. Realizing the swordsman never intended to let him live, complete terror fills the doomed bandit. After dealing with the criminals, the Dark Warrior returns home to his cheerful daughter. Scooping up his child, he apologizes to his worried wife and claims extra teaching work delayed him. Even though the mother feels relieved, she notices his handsome physical appearance changed. Asking why his skin glows, both family members tease him about his broader shoulders and taller posture. The hero realizes that hiding his divine physical changes was completely impossible. Becoming suspicious of his odd behavior, the angry wife suddenly unleashes a terrifying dark aura. Just as the protagonist stammers in fear, a loud growl from his empty stomach saves the day. Hearing his loud stomach, the amused wife laughs softly before inviting her hungry husband inside for dinner. Even though she knows he hides a secret, the caring woman decides to wait while offering him delicious beef soup. Heading inside, the warrior suddenly freezes after noticing strange dark marks forming on his wife's delicate hand. Recalling those tragic symptoms, the shocked hero realizes his beloved wife is secretly suffering from poison. Later that night, the worried husband watches over his sleeping wife as painful memories of her past death fill his mind. Placing his hand over her body, the Dark Warrior channels his glowing divine aura to inspect the toxic energy inside her. Detecting green poisonous aura gathered near her center, the hero wonders exactly when this deadly energy infected her. Channeling his golden aura, the Dark Warrior carefully purges every trace of toxic energy from his wife's body. Gathering the dark venom into his palm, he realizes this slow poison is what actually took her life before. Knowing her strong background, the hero concludes that only an elite martial master could poison someone like her. Overcome with intense rage, the Dark Warrior vows to hunt down and crush anyone who dares harm his family. The next morning, the loving mother takes her sweet child to the market, while the protagonist prepares to head out. Watching from the trees, a disguised spy peeks out confused after seeing that the poison symptoms suddenly vanished. Determined to succeed, the mysterious assassin resolves to ensure nothing ruins his master's sinister plans. Cornering the sneaky assassin in the woods, the hero startles him by appearing without making a single sound. Staring down the culprit, the husband demands to know who ordered him to target his wife. Realizing his identity, the criminal claims the woman betrayed a mysterious leader in the past. Pulling out his sharp daggers, the attacker leaps forward to slice his opponent into pieces. Standing completely calm, the Dark Warrior effortlessly catches the incoming blades with his fingers. Before the shocked villain can react, a powerful counterstrike hits him straight in the jaw. Blasting through the dense forest trees, the defeated assassin crashes violently into the dirt. Walking up to the fallen assassin, the Dark Warrior demands to know who stands behind this plot. Trembling in fear, the criminal reveals that Tang Gui from the famous Sichuan Tang Clan hired him. Confused by this reveal, the husband wonders why that master targeted her until the spy mentions his secret crush. The spy explains that the enemy sent a marriage proposal right before the young woman eloped with a scholar. Recalling their past, the hero admits an ordinary orphan like him was never accepted by her noble family. Connecting the dots, the warrior realizes the bitter villain blamed him for ruining the marriage arrangement. Begging for his life, the terrified spy warns the protagonist against making an enemy of his powerful clan. As the assassin threatens him about his clan, the hero notes that payback always goes both ways. Grabbing the spy face with red eyes, the Dark Warrior forces the criminal to pay for his deeds. Looking at his blood-stained hand, the protagonist decides to take a quick trip directly to Sichuan. Meanwhile, at a fancy pavilion, Tang Gui of the Tang Clan drinks happily alongside several women. When asked about his great mood, the corrupt master talks about a lovely flower he wanted for years. Staring down at his cup, the villain twistedly imagines crushing that beautiful woman completely. Evil thoughts fill his mind as the villain admits he intends to inflict pure agony on the woman who ran from him. Grabbing his servant by the neck, the cruel noble demonstrates how the slow poison will gradually cut off her breath. Interrupting his twisted act, two mercenary brothers known as the Black and White Twin Demons walk into the room. Bowing respectfully, the young master welcomes the terrifying warriors to discuss their alliance over drinks. The mercenary leaders praise his ambition and express excitement for the day he becomes head of the clan. Even though he secretly views them as greedy trash, the corrupt master uses their strength to secure his own position. Vowing to make everyone respect him, the arrogant man snaps at his concerned relative who tries to stop his dangerous plans. The arrogant noble angrily shouts at his younger brother Tang Mujun, who is praised as the clan genius. Deep jealousy consumes the young master because everyone expects his skilled relative to lead the clan. Raising his drink with the mercenaries, he smiles, while believing the leadership position will soon belong to him. Out of nowhere, a guard flies straight through the entrance and crashes violently onto their table. Standing up in surprise, the mercenary leaders realize an uninvited guest has barged into the room. Stepping through the dust, the hero calls out the corrupt noble for being even worse than expected. Unaware of the danger, the arrogant master smirks, while asking if the stranger recognizes him. Looking back with cold eyes, the hero calls the corrupt master the biggest shame of his entire clan. Instead of panicking, the twin mercenaries offer to crush the intruder to keep their deal safe. When the arrogant fighters order him to beg for mercy, the masked warrior calmly refuses. Enraged by his response, the brothers spin their heavy chain weapons while swearing to shatter his bones. Unleashing a joint attack, the two villains slam their heavy weapons straight onto the floor. As the dust settles above the smashed floor, the surprised attackers realize their target vanished. Soaring down from above, the Dark Warrior instantly grabs the attacker face before he can react. With a single brutal slam, the hero takes out one of the brothers, leaving the surviving old warrior screaming in shock. As the surviving villain cries for his brother, the Dark Warrior mockingly notes that even wild beasts care about family. Consumed by furious rage, the surviving brother charges up his glowing chains while swearing to tear his opponent apart. Unleashing a violent wave of heavy chain strikes, the angry villain tries to crush the hero, who dodges effortlessly. Gritting his teeth in frustration, the old master swings his heavy weapons wilder, destroying everything inside the room. Watching the fight in complete horror, the corrupt noble realizes the powerful mercenary is getting completely toyed with. Terrified by the intruder's overwhelming strength, the evil noble panics and decides his only option is to run away immediately. Effortlessly catching the heavy weapon, the Dark Warrior stops the incoming chain attack without taking a single step. Panicking in disbelief, the old mercenary realizes his internal energy stopped flowing completely. Declaring that disrespecting human lives brings death, the hero swings the weapon and delivers a fatal blow. Blood scatters everywhere as the surviving twin demon crashes heavily to the floor. Turning his cold gaze toward the evil noble, the protagonist politely apologizes for keeping him waiting. Sweating in total shock, the corrupt master cannot believe how easily his powerful allies were destroyed. Staring into those terrifying glowing red eyes, the villain realizes he is trapped with a true monster. Realizing the enemy is as strong as his father, the nervous master asks how much he was paid. The corrupt villain offers to double and even triple that price if the intruder joins his side. Stepping forward, the Dark Warrior reveals that he ordered the hit himself to avenge his wife's tragic end. Connecting the strange clues, the shocked noble realizes the masked attacker is actually her husband. Laughing hysterically, the evil master cannot believe a weak scholar caused all this massive destruction. Hearing shouting outside, extra clan guards suddenly storm into the room to protect their leader. Surrounding the Dark Warrior, the men urge their terrified master to take this chance and escape. Viewing his own guards as useless sacrifices, the evil noble secretly prepares a deadly poison attack behind his back. Throwing toxic beads onto the floor, a massive purple poison cloud instantly fills the room and consumes his own men. Covering his face, the arrogant noble laughs quietly while believing no warrior can survive his lethal clan venom. Shock fills his eyes as the Dark Warrior steps through the thick fog, completely untouched by the lethal gas. Unleashing a surge of golden energy, the hero shatters the roof while blowing away every trace of poison. Stumbling backward in sheer horror, the villain stares at the fallen bodies while the hero approaches him with calm steps. Staring down the trembling noble, the protagonist coldly tells him that monsters like him do not deserve to breathe. Recalling his past life, the hero remembers how the evil master allied with those notorious criminal brothers. Falling to his knees, the coward begs for mercy, while the protagonist channels golden energy into his fingers. Unleashing a brutal torture technique, the Dark Warrior dislocates his enemy joints and leaves him screaming in agony. Sensing incoming danger, the hero easily dodges a surprise barrage of flying daggers aiming straight for his head. Stepping into the room, the genius younger brother Tang Mujun orders the Dark Warrior to stop harming his older relative. Launching a quick assault with sharp knives, the talented young warrior moves with high physical speed. Closing the distance to strike, the opponent thrusts his dagger only for the hero to catch his wrist effortlessly. Countering instantly, the protagonist strikes back with enough force to send the young prodigy flying across the hall. Standing his ground, the opponent reveals himself as the greatest genius in the history of his entire clan. Recalling his past life, the hero remembers how this young man once showed him genuine kindness amidst all the bloodshed. Watching the masked fighter dodge, the skilled warrior realizes his opponent is holding back his true power. Excited by the overwhelming challenge, the young master grins wildly as his spirit ignites. Gathering a violent wave of green energy, the talented attacker prepares his ultimate strike. Leaping high into the air, he launches a massive storm of flying blades directly at the hero. Swiftly weaving through the deadly volley, the Dark Warrior effortlessly dodges every single attack. Continuing his relentless assault, the young genius smiles as he tests his opponent's limits. Shocked that none of his hits land, the attacker realizes he cannot even graze the hero. Refusing to back down, the young master roars and hurls another wave of sharp daggers forward. Standing completely calm, the protagonist easily catches the incoming weapons mid-air. Blasting behind the prodigy in a second, the Dark Warrior holds a sharp blade against his neck. Unable to move a single muscle, the defeated young man wonders if his journey ends right here. Instead of ending his life, the hero slowly pulls the blade away, leaving the opponent confused. Confused by the mercy, the young prodigy asks why the stranger spares him while pointing at his beaten brother. Pleading for his family, the young master argues that their clan will investigate the truth and punish the culprit. Agreeing to spare the villain, the Dark Warrior notes that he cannot risk letting the evil master regain his martial arts. Before the young man can stop him, the hero strikes the evil noble directly in the chest with glowing energy. Releasing a violent shockwave, the powerful attack completely shatters the villain's internal energy core forever. Screaming in agony, the corrupt master drops to the floor while his younger brother rushes over to seal his pressure points. With his cultivation permanently destroyed, the evil master passes out on the carpet completely helpless. Looking back, the young prodigy questions if such heavy punishment was necessary while the hero calmly agrees. Turning to the young prodigy, the protagonist calls him a mere bystander who never stopped his brother's crimes. Adding that the crippled master is simply paying for his sins, the hero leaves the silent prodigy behind. Staring into the night sky, the young genius wonders what kind of monster his brother provoked. Meditating on a high cliff, the Dark Warrior reflects on his vow to keep his beloved family safe. Clenching his fist tightly, he realizes he must gain even greater power to protect them perfectly. Returning home, the hero gently touches his sleeping wife as she opens her eyes. Waking his wife up gently while their daughter sleeps soundly, the hero asks to speak with her privately. As they step under the moonlight, the wife grows nervous when he suddenly places his hands on her shoulders. Staring deeply into her eyes, the husband suggests returning home to Hebei, leaving her completely stunned. Fearing her powerful father will punish him, the hesitant woman claims her family erased her long ago. Holding her hands tenderly, the hero remembers how her strict father Peng Mugong once rejected their marriage. Recalling their past elopement, he once assumed her father would never forgive them for running away together. However, in his former life, the Grandmaster personally traveled to the village shortly after her passing. Known as the Hebei Blade Devil, the Grandmaster sobbed uncontrollably while holding his deceased daughter. Blaming his own greed for her loss, the old leader begged to take little Yule home to raise her safely. Refusing the offer back then, the young father kept his child until enemies burned down their home. Vowing to avoid past mistakes, the hero knows his family needs the strong protection of the Tang Clan. He reminds his wife that no parent can truly erase a child from their heart or stop worrying about her. Even though the woman worries her strict father remains furious, she admits he might still care. Holding her hands tenderly, the protagonist reassures her that every loving parent feels that way. Laughing off his own rocky bond with her family, the husband gently hugs her and promises everything will be fine. As the peaceful night passes, birds fly over the roof to welcome a bright morning. Inside the room, the mischievous mother and daughter secretly use charcoal to draw silly marks on his sleeping face. Waking up from his nap, the hero catches them acting innocent right before his wife invites him to eat. Feeling completely at ease about their decision, the protagonist smiles without knowing what was drawn on him. Sitting down at the table filled with delicious food, he gets confused when his family bursts out laughing. Told to go wash himself first, the embarrassed warrior quickly runs outside while his wife and child laugh. Shocked by his funny new beard, the father playfully reassures his daughter that she made him look very handsome. Enjoying these happy moments, the protagonist feels ready to begin their journey toward Hebei. Villagers gather around the family, sad to see them leave so suddenly. When elders mention how bandits mysteriously vanished, the hero acts innocent before thanking everyone. Prompted by her loving father, the sweet little girl bows cutely to bid farewell to the locals. Setting off on their journey, the protagonist vows to return instantly if danger ever threatens his cherished home. Meanwhile, inside the prestigious Tang Clan residence, elders loudly debate a request from the Murim alliance. Slamming his fist on the table, Grandmaster Peng Mugong demands silence before turning to his eldest son. Stepping forward, the young master Peng Sojin suggests honoring their duty by agreeing to support the alliance. The young master argues that accepting valid requests gives their clan strong standing in the martial world. Impressed by his wisdom, the Grandmaster praises his son as one of the top geniuses of the future generation. Suddenly, a panicked messenger rushes inside the hall to announce that their missing daughter has finally returned home. Hearing the shocking news, the old Grandmaster grips his chair so hard that the wood shatters instantly in his hand. Meanwhile, at the Tang Clan, the furious clanmaster inspects his crippled son and regrets failing to raise him right. Forced out of his secluded training, the leader learns that the intruder easily destroyed their top mercenary allies. The Tang Clan master notes that tracking the strong attacker is useless, while his son asks if they will just drop the matter. Even though their family never forgets a debt, the leader insists their clan must first learn shame before taking revenge. Meanwhile, inside the Ping family residence, the anxious wife turns toward the opening door as a visitor arrives. Her younger brother Peng Sujin greets her warmly, bringing a huge smile to her face during their sweet reunion. Turning to the protagonist, the polite young man respectfully greets his brother-in-law after so many years apart. When the little girl pokes his robe, the shocked young man freezes upon learning that this child is his niece. Hearing the adorable child call him uncle, the overwhelmed young master stands completely frozen in pure shock. Before the young uncle can hold his niece, the clan matriarch Dan Huiyang rushes into the room. Reuniting at last, the emotional mother tearfully embraces her daughter while scolding her for staying silent so long. When the confused child asks why her mother is crying, the emotional woman wipes her tears to introduce her daughter. Gently patting her head, the grandmother smiles softly, after noticing how much the young girl resembles her mother. Turning her gaze toward the husband, the dark warrior steps forward and bows deeply to take full blame. Watching her daughter worry, the kind matriarch sighs softly and accepts that her child truly loved him. Inviting them to rest after their long trip, the old mother welcomes the husband while he bows in deep gratitude. Entering the hall with heavy steps, the angry grandmaster shouts that he will never accept this, as the husband gulps nervously. Approaching his daughter, the old leader harshly scolds her choices, but she firmly stands her ground and questions his words. Unbothered by his harsh tone, the wife proudly explains that leaving allowed her to experience genuine happiness every day. Enraged by her response, the father roars that her reckless runaway turned their entire clan into a laughingstock. Telling his wife to shut up, the leader suddenly panics when she releases a terrifying aura that leaves the hero shocked. Smacking her stubborn husband repeatedly, the furious mother scolds him for putting on a completely fake tough act. Exposing his true feelings, the matriarch reveals that the old man wept in her empty room for 6 months straight. Sighing at her parents' bickering, the daughter watches as the matriarch tells her husband to hold his granddaughter. Looking up with huge sparkling eyes, the sweet child cutely calls him grandpa. Completely overwhelmed by her cuteness, the fierce warrior instantly melts in total shock. Snapping back to reality, the happy grandfather lifts his precious grandchild high into the air with joy. Later, inside the quiet hall, the Grandmaster sits down to drink tea privately with the protagonist. Reflecting on the past, the old leader remembers how his stubborn daughter chose love over her noble clan. Standing in her abandoned room back then, he vowed to drag her back home the moment he found her. Recalling the past, the Grandmaster admits he only wanted his daughter to live happily away from clan politics. Bowing respectfully, the husband apologizes for the trouble but insists he never regrets choosing his family. He explains that he returned so his loved ones could reunite with their clan and live without regret. Vowing to protect his family at all costs, the protagonist shocks the old leader with his fierce determination. The Grandmaster wonders if this ordinary scholar can actually survive the harsh environment of their clan. Finally giving his approval, the old leader permits them to stay while warning him about the tough road ahead. Confidently accepting the challenge, the dark warrior prepares to protect his family inside the massive estate. A month passes since arriving in Hebei as the dark warrior trains intensely in the mountains. Realizing his progress is much faster than before, he decides to keep his true power hidden for now. Looking down at the clan grounds, he knows gaining supreme strength is the only way to safeguard his loved ones. Meanwhile, at the training yard, several disciples complain bitterly about the scholar hanging around their estate. Joining their conversation, Captain Noilbong asks why everyone feels so annoyed by the newcomer. Furious that an outsider married into their noble family, the smirking head guard agrees to teach him a harsh lesson. Walking through the courtyard later that day, the protagonist gets surprised when the captain approaches him. Putting on a friendly smile, the man invites the quiet husband to join their tough morning runs. Thinking it over for a second, the dark warrior agrees to join their light morning workout. Watching him walk away, the guard smirks because this routine is secretly known as the Run of Hell. The next morning, the disciples gather in the yard while hoping to see the outsider get crushed. Dressed in training clothes, the protagonist arrives right on time as the leader greets him. After learning who the squad leaders are, the hero politely introduces himself to everyone. Patting the annoyed guard on the shoulder, the Dark Warrior casually suggests they begin right away. Determined to break his spirit, the head guard shouts for everyone to start today's brutal session. Swarming out of the main gates, the shirtless disciples begin sprinting together at full speed. Watching the newcomer run with heavy weights, the arrogant disciples assume he will break as soon as the real torture starts. As they charge up the steep mountain trail, the brutal pace rapidly drains the stamina of the entire squad. Leaving everyone in shock, the Dark Warrior glides past the struggling fighters without even breathing heavily. Catching up to the leader, the protagonist runs right beside him as if taking a peaceful morning stroll. Unable to accept getting outmatched, the exhausted captain stops at the gates and orders everyone to run another lap. Screaming at his horrified squad, the stubborn guard forces everyone to keep running until their legs completely give out. Completely destroyed by the extreme workout, the miserable disciples end up throwing up on the dirt. While the collapsed disciples gasp for air on the dirt, the cheerful warrior happily promises to rejoin them tomorrow. Showing up every single morning, the hero continues forcing the exhausted squad through the exact same brutal routine. Eventually, the desperate leader begs him to stop coming, while news of his crazy stamina spreads through the entire clan. Back at home, his curious wife notices his improved strength while he playfully jokes that simple daily runs were enough. Comparing his current peaceful days to his former bloody past, the Dark Warrior gladly accepts his simple domestic life. Later that evening, local merchants gather inside the estate to express deep gratitude to the young master for protecting them. After helping the local merchants, the humble young master politely bids them farewell for the night. Walking back through the bamboo forest under the moonlight, he smiles while thinking about his cute niece. Suddenly freezing in his tracks, the young warrior senses a dangerous presence lurking in the dark trees. Unsheathing their sharp blades, dozens of masked assassins step out from the shadows to surround them completely. As the attackers strike, his loyal guard fights back fiercely to buy time for his master to escape. Bleeding from a heavy wound on his arm, the young master pushes through the pain while sprinting away. Approaching a narrow rope bridge, he notices the relentless enemies continuing to chase him through the forest. Cornered on the rope bridge with a severe wound, the young master realizes his escape path is completely blocked. Looking down at the deep chasm below, the desperate warrior grips his weapon to make a dangerous final choice. Cutting the bridge ropes without hesitation, he destroys the path right beneath the shocked attackers. Plunging directly into the dark abyss alongside his enemies, the brave young man accepts his fate with a calm smile. Later at the estate, a messenger reports that the escorts were eliminated while the young master remains missing. Inside the council hall, anxious clan elders argue fiercely over whether their missing heir survived the ambush. Silencing the room, the furious grandmaster orders everyone to focus all their power on finding his missing son. Inside the estate, the worried family cries over the missing heir, while the hero watches them quietly from across the room. Recalling his past life, the protagonist remembers how the young master survived a deadly ambush but lost his arm. Remembering how kindly the young master treated him before the Dark Warrior resolves to step in and rewrite his fate. Meanwhile, a corrupt client angrily scolds a hired assassin for failing to finish off the young master in one strike. The masked killer points out the massive risk while the greedy merchant demands total results for full payment. Promising to handle everything, the shadow assassin vanishes into thin air and leaps across the rooftops. Down in the dark ravine, the wounded young master stands among fallen bodies while the masked killers demand his surrender. Unbothered by his threats, the ruthless chief orders his henchmen to finish off the young heir without delay. Just as the blade swings downward, the Dark Warrior leaps between them and whispers that he arrived to save him. Channeling divine golden energy through his fingertips, the hero instantly purges the lethal poison from his wounded arm. Realizing his body feels lighter, the stunned young man rests on the ground while the hero tells him to relax. Turning around with complete calm, the Dark Warrior quietly counts 20 remaining enemies while praising his young ally. As the attackers shout threats, the Dark Warrior finds their large ambush formation annoying. Drawing his blade with glowing red eyes, he prepares to unleash a devastating technique. Unleashing a massive storm of power, a single terrifying strike sweeps through the entire squad. After the violent energy clears, the hero stands untouched while the entire area falls silent. Staring at the destroyed ground, the young master watches in total awe at such impossible strength. Trembling in horror, the last surviving leader drops his weapon and desperately begs to negotiate. Out of nowhere, the old leader arrives and violently grabs the surviving assassin leader by his neck. Seeing his fierce father-in-law show up at this exact moment, the protagonist realizes he is in big trouble. He remembers how the old patriarch originally rescued his young son during this exact ambush in his past life. Panicking silently, the hero considers running away while the enraged Grandmaster prepares his next move. Surging with intense energy, the furious father steps forward and shatters the ground beneath his feet. Swinging his gigantic fist forward, the mighty elder launches a sudden strike directly at the protagonist. A massive shockwave detonates as the unstoppable Grandmaster attacks without hesitation. Barely dodging the blow, the protagonist realizes the old Grandmaster is incredibly skilled even without a weapon. Charging forward again, the furious leader unleashes a brutal strike that shatters the surrounding ground. Impressed by his defense, the Grandmaster unsheathes his blade while swearing to end the fight quickly. Stepping forward with explosive power, the old master unleashes massive blue energy slashes across the area. Soaring through flying rocks, the Dark Warrior admits he would be crushed without his continuous training. Demanding his opponent fight seriously, the Grandmaster raises his sword to represent the full force of his clan. As a devastating wave of energy swoops down, the Dark Warrior finally reaches for his weapon to counter. Unsheathing his weapon, the Dark Warrior deflects the massive blow and creates distance between them. Stunned by the defense, the old leader realizes his opponent surrounds himself with a legendary energy barrier. As the Grandmaster angrily demands answers, the hero gets a massive headache over fighting his father-in-law. Refusing to wait any longer, the Grandmaster coats his sword in dense blue energy to end the clash. Before he can strike, his injured son limps over and shouts that this masked warrior actually saved his life. Looking closely at the fallen assassins, the Grandmaster realizes the cuts match the stranger's story. Seeing the old Grandmaster focus on his wounded son, the hero silently disappears into the dark night. Amazed by such impossible speed, the old leader marvels at the savior before taking his son back home. Removing his mask with a sly grin, the Dark Warrior heads directly toward his next target. High on a mountain cliff, the greedy merchant who ordered the ambush wakes up tied upside down inside a sack. Leaning over the captive, the protagonist uses a sharp knife to slice away the gag covering his mouth. Panicking in total confusion, the terrified villain screams in shock after finding himself hanging over an abyss. Desperate to survive, the corrupt man offers all his wealth while the hero demands to know where it is hidden. Terrified for his life, the villain quickly reveals all his hidden wealth before begging to be untied. Instead of releasing him, the Dark Warrior reveals that the young master survived the attack with both arms intact. Recalling how this corrupt merchant destroyed countless innocent lives, the hero plans the ultimate punishment. Ignoring his desperate cries, the Dark Warrior declares that losing all his fortune is the worst way for him to die. Walking away without looking back, the hero leaves the villain to fall into the abyss as the branch snaps. The next morning at the estate, the young master slowly opens his eyes after recovering from his injuries. Looking around the room, he finds his entire family gathered around his bed, while his adorable niece greets him. As memories of the brutal ambush flood his mind, the young master wonders how he made it back alive. Sitting by his bed, the protagonist speaks kindly while the young man thanks him for the concern. Staring closely at his relative, the young master suddenly senses a strong feeling of déjà vu. Comparing their features in his mind, he connects the gentle scholar to the powerful masked savior. Noticing his intense stare, the hero asks if he should call a doctor to examine him. His caring sister rushes over in worry, but the young man insists that he feels okay. Laughing off his suspicion, the young master decides a humble scholar could never be that warrior. 2 weeks later, a local merchant confesses that the corrupt master of the Golden Pavilion organized the entire ambush. Arriving at the estate, clan members find the building burned to ashes while the evil master lies dead below a cliff. Remembering their mysterious savior, the old Grandmaster and his son wonder where that powerful masked hero went. Meanwhile, the clan matriarch quietly watches the humble scholar stroll across the bridge. Sitting down with her husband, the mother suggests giving their son-in-law a real responsibility inside the clan. Laughing mockingly, the old leader calls him a complete parasite who does nothing all day. She advises her husband to guide him by assigning a troublesome task that nobody else wants to do. Hearing her suggestion, a mischievous smile spreads across the old leader's face as a scheme comes to mind. The old Grandmaster smirks while thinking about a troublesome group returning after their long confinement ends. Meanwhile, in the forest, corrupt bandits interrogate helpless workers for money and threaten to sell them off. Out of nowhere, powerful strikes send the thugs flying through the air, leaving their leader completely shocked. A mysterious group of dangerous warriors steps out from the shadows to confront the remaining criminals. The terrified bandits yell at the newcomers to back off, but a dark young fighter casually steps forward. Moving with wild speed, a sharp-teethed warrior slashes through the thugs while laughing like a total lunatic. Panicking in sheer terror, the bandit leader urges his remaining men to fight back using their large numbers. Before he can finish speaking, a giant blade cuts him down as the ruthless squad wipes out every last thug. The handsome leader of the squad orders his wild companions to calm down and stop scaring the merchants. Trying a desperate final trick, a surviving thug grabs a female hostage and demands his freedom. Before he can threaten them further, a sharp female sniper on a high branch instantly takes him out from afar. After wiping out the bandits, the leader approaches the captives only to watch them bow and beg for mercy in pure terror. Laughing out loud, a huge squad member jokes that their fierce group looks even scarier than actual criminals. Spotting the distinct wolf emblem on their uniforms, the astonished merchants recognize them as the elite White Wolf squad. After reassuring the grateful locals, the leader calls everyone to return to the Tang Clan before getting nagged. While returning home, the squad members complain about their punishment for beating up an arrogant young master. Spotting a stranger outside their residence, the curious fighters shout at him as he turns around to leave. Two wild kids aggressively sniff the hero before their leader pulls them back and politely apologizes. Explaining that the old patriarch sent him on an important mission, the protagonist gets invited inside the building. Sitting comfortably at a wooden table, the Dark Warrior quietly drinks tea while waiting for them. A massive squad member named Gu Tyson approaches and introduces himself to the quiet guest. Introducing himself as Yeo Eunhui, the protagonist prepares to explain the task assigned by the Grandmaster. Placing the official medallion on the wooden table, the hero announces that the patriarch appointed him as their new leader. Skeptical of the news, the large fighter notes that the newcomer is just a helpless scholar with zero training. He stresses that their combat squad cannot accept an inexperienced leader even under direct orders from above. Remaining calm, the hero mockingly calls them a pack of wild dogs who lost their way. Enraged by the sudden insult, the giant fighter crushes his teacup in pure anger. Unbothered by the hostility, the Dark Warrior notes that a sharp weapon refusing orders is entirely useless. Completely losing his temper, the furious fighter swears to put the newcomer in his place. Slamming the table in fury, the giant fighter declares they will never take orders from a useless son-in-law. Before the argument escalates, Vice Captain Oh Chae-moo steps inside and scolds his subordinate for disrespecting their visitor. Recalling his past life, the Dark Warrior remembers how this squad eventually broke away to become the notorious Red Wolf Squad. Seeing them in person, he understands these wild fighters refuse to follow strict rules, leading to their eventual falling out. Bowing deeply before him, the polite vice captain offers his greetings and promises to obey the patriarch's official order. Taking full responsibility for his members' rudeness, the calm leader asks for forgiveness as the protagonist tells him to rise. Offering to introduce the rest of the squad waiting outside, the warrior wonders what this wild group plans to do next. Sitting outside, the squad members secretly plot how to get rid of their unwanted new captain. Fearing damage to their reputation, the scar-faced fighter smirks while planning to make the scholar quit on his own. A few days later, the protagonist visits the squad office to request an official mission for his team. The vice captain explains that other units are unavailable, leaving this difficult task entirely to them. Selecting the assignment, the hero agrees to depart immediately the very next day. Smirking quietly, the vice captain expects the brutal reality of the martial world to break the simple scholar. Before leaving on his journey, the loving mother and child bid him a warm farewell. Setting off on horseback, the hero rides into the countryside alongside his squad of fierce warriors. After camping out around a warm fire overnight, the group continues sprinting toward their destination. Reaching the target village, the squad stops as a gloomy atmosphere settles over the quiet area. Looking around, the Dark Warrior notices helpless locals lying on the ground in total misery. Dismounting his horse, the vice captain explains that local bandits recently doubled their extortion fees. While the officer assumes the criminals plan to flee, the hero suspects a far more sinister scheme. Interrupting their discussion, a gang of armed thugs suddenly surrounds the squad with wicked grins. Mocking the group, the arrogant thugs demand all their valuables while the Dark Warrior tells his vice captain to stand back. Displaying his official clan token, the protagonist orders the bandits to surrender and lead his team to their main hideout. Refusing to back down, the furious leader claims control of the mountain and commands his men to charge forward. Calling them complete fools, the hero draws his blade and wipes out the incoming attackers in a single second. Before the shocked leader can react, a swift counterstrike hits him straight in the face. As the terrified survivor begs for mercy on the ground, the hero smirks while noting that he only needs a single guide. Guided through the forest, the squad arrives at the main stronghold where guards on the watchtower spot them right away. Calling his wild teammates to step up, the eager fighters spring into action using their giant ally as a launching pad. Roaring with massive force, the big fighter launches the agile kids high into the air to crush the guards. After smashing the main gate open from the inside, the rest of the squad charges straight into the stronghold. Chaos erupts instantly as the fierce squad obliterates every bandit standing in their path. Watching them fight, the hero praises their incredible teamwork while sensing that the real battle is just starting. Suddenly, a gigantic axe slams into the ground as the massive stronghold boss steps out demanding answers. Stepping up to face the giant bandit, the big squad member casually boasts that he will take him down. Furious at the challenge, the boss boasts about his unbeatable strength while charging directly forward. Confidently meeting the attack head-on, their weapons clash in a violent burst of physical force. Dodging behind his target in a second, the agile fighter mocks the villain for being way too slow. Calling him a coward, the enraged leader swings wildly while his opponent parries every single blow. Realizing he is getting openly mocked, the boss grows frustrated as the warrior continues teasing him. Pushed past his limit, the massive leader bulges his muscles and unleashes a wild full power strike. Easily withstanding the massive hurricane attack, the large squad member delivers a crushing blow that sends the boss flying. Ignoring the villain's desperate cries for mercy, the fighter delivers a final strike while the bandits watch in shock. Believing the fight is finished, the victorious warrior casually sheathes his weapon while chatting with his teammate. Suddenly, the defeated leader chuckles creepily, while warning that the group walked straight into their own graves. Raising his dark finger to utter a final threat, the criminal collapses dead onto the ground. With the stronghold master gone, the agile squad member commands the remaining bandits to drop their weapons. Observing the scene, the dark warrior senses something wrong and wonders if the dying villain left behind a curse. Sensing dangerous energy nearby, the protagonist watches as the panicking criminals scream in complete terror. Before anyone can react, the ground violently shakes as a massive shockwave detonates inside the courtyard. As the thick dust clears, an old man steps out complaining about whoever dared to interrupt his peaceful nap. Noticing a distinct red mark on his face, the protagonist instantly recognizes the identity of this mysterious master. Approaching without fear, the giant fighter asks who he is while his vice captain screams at him to get back. With a simple flick of his finger, the old master launches a devastating blast that sends the giant squad member flying. Coughing up blood, the giant fighter barely survives while the old master mocks him for remaining alive. Furious over their fallen friend, the rest of the squad charges forward with their weapons drawn. Grinning wildly, the sinister old man fires a massive beam of energy that instantly drops every attacker. Stepping past the defeated fighters on the ground, the arrogant villain taunts them to give him a real challenge. Watching in sheer horror, the shocked vice captain realizes this monster is a legendary archdemon from the past. Flashbacks reveal how this evil killer slaughtered noble heirs decades ago before vanishing without a single trace. Panicking in total shock, the officer desperately checks on his wounded squad as they struggle to respond. Gritting his teeth in frustration, the officer notes that even though his squad survived, everyone is heavily injured. Laughing maniacally at the chaotic situation, the ancient monster enjoys watching the terrified bandits run for their lives. Channeling a dark sphere of energy, the ruthless archdemon wipes out the fleeing criminals without hesitation. Reveling in their screams, the evil master mockingly calls the remaining squad members simple dogs waiting to bark. Enraged by the insult, the giant warrior roars with wild anger and charges directly forward with his weapon raised. Unbothered by the sudden assault, the old demon fires a massive purple beam straight at the incoming opponent. Charging forward in a rage, the giant warrior gets instantly crushed by a devastating blast of dark energy. Rushing to support their fallen ally, the worried squad members watch the sadist mock their pain. Amused by their struggles, the ancient archdemon declares his intention to torture them slowly over 3 full days. Refusing to give up, the vice captain commands the remaining squad to surround the enemy in a joint formation. Mocking their effort, the old villain gathers massive dark power while telling them to prepare for death. Unleashing his ultimate strike, sharp waves of energy instantly tear through every single attacking fighter. Standing over the fallen group, the evil master laughs loudly while the defeated squad lies helpless on the dirt. Struggling on his knees, the vice captain despairs over the massive gap in strength while the old monster laughs at him. Stepping forward, the dark warrior tells his officer to rest while the shocked subordinate realizes his captain never left. Introducing himself as the captain, the hero confronts the villain who assumes this stranger is just pretending to be brave. Mocking the newcomer, the demon asks if he wants to beg while the officer desperately warns his leader about the killer. Asking what valuable deal he can offer, the archdemon gets stunned when the hero promises to make his death less painful. Shocked by his fearless reply, the villain asks if he is being mocked while the hero calmly tells him to think carefully. Enraged by his insolence, the furious archdemon charges up a massive dark energy sphere to obliterate him completely. Unleashing a lethal dark blast, the archdemon fires directly at the dark warrior who dodges the attack effortlessly. Stunned by his impossible reaction, the old monster grows furious and refuses to accept what just happened. Losing his cool entirely, the enraged villain unleashes a violent barrage of dark energy strikes across the field. Watching the devastating assault, the terrified officer screams in horror while the hero calmly stands his ground. Channeling a wave of divine golden power, the protagonist easily cancels out the incoming attack while scolding his enemy. Blasting a massive wave of golden power, the hero overpowers the villain, who realizes his ultimate technique was copied. Staring in total disbelief, the wounded squad members confirm to each other that their new captain possesses divine strength. Shocked that the hero instantly copied his ultimate move, the ancient demon and the squad officer stare in total disbelief. When asked about his identity, the protagonist calmly replies that he belongs to the noble Tang Clan. Smiling softly, the dark warrior declares that his family will soon become the greatest clan under heaven. Bursting into maniacal laughter, the evil monster vows to tear down the Tang family with his bare hands. Surging with violent energy, the archdemon boasts about unleashing a dangerous technique never seen before. With glowing red eyes, the hero calmly watches the villain transform into his massive true form. Watching from the back, the terrified squad members wonder why their captain remains completely fearless. As the dark blast tears through the ground, the injured officer coughs up blood from the intense impact. Charging dark energy in his fist, the old demon taunts the protagonist for standing still while his officer suffered. Staring back with glowing eyes, the protagonist calmly replies that moving was completely unnecessary. Confident in his strength, the hero adds that he can effortlessly handle attacks of that level. Furious over the disrespect, the archdemon leaps high into the air and launches a massive barrage of strikes. Gliding through the air effortlessly, the dark warrior mocks his opponent for making so much noise. Realizing his target keeps dodging, the angry monster gathers dark aura everywhere to block every escape route. Roaring in fury, the ancient demon unleashes a relentless barrage of massive energy strikes. Heavy explosions shatter the ground while the smiling monster believes he destroyed his opponent completely. Clenching his giant fist, the arrogant villain boasts about his supreme strength and unlimited power. Gathering a giant energy sphere, he slams down a final destructive beam that leaves a massive crater. Appearing right behind him completely untouched, the dark warrior asks if this is his first time going all out. Stunned by his survival, the terrified villain spins around with a furious scream. Easily dodging, the hero taunts the monster for only beating weaklings while pretending to be truly evil. Mocking his quick temper, the dark warrior strikes the monster before he can even react. Calling him a petty noisemaker, the hero enrages the ancient villain even further. Erupting with massive dark aura, the archdemon causes the entire ground to tremble violently. Gathering dark power in his hand, the furious killer unleashes his ultimate blood technique. While the wounded squad struggles under the pressure, the dark warrior remains completely unfazed. Looking back, the protagonist notes that the intense pressure is getting too heavy for his squad. Mocking his concern, the evil monster states that their suffering is not his problem as his aura explodes. As energy blasts wreck the entire courtyard, the dark warrior remains completely unimpressed by the destruction. While the ancient monster laughs maniacally at the chaos, the protagonist interrupts his celebration with a calm voice. Flipping gracefully through the air, the hero mockingly admits that he got bored of playing around. Delivering a swift overhead strike, the hero slams the arrogant villain directly into the shattering ground. Stepping forward to finish the fight, the protagonist ignores the villain, who screams endless threats of revenge. Deciding to burn his own life force, the desperate demon gathers a massive sphere of dark power. Even as the ultimate dark beam swallows everything, the hero grins while facing the infamous madman. Calling the final move pathetic, the dark warrior unleashes his divine martial technique. A massive wave of golden energy slams directly into the dark attack. Screaming in sheer disbelief, the ancient villain gets completely swallowed by the explosion. Within seconds, the legendary archdemon crumbles into dust and falls onto the ground. Staring at the defeated monster, the shocked squad members cannot even process what happened. Turning around with a calm smile, the hero asks if anyone in his team got hurt. Meanwhile, back at the estate, his beautiful wife stands on the bridge while watching the sky. Standing in the cold wind, the matriarch asks her daughter to head inside while the worried wife thinks about her husband. Recalling his gentle nature, she remembers that he was merely a humble village teacher until recently. Suddenly, a messenger rushes over to announce that the squad has successfully returned from their mission. Stunned onlookers watch in complete shock as the squad marches in carrying proof of the archdemon's defeat. Whispering among themselves, the clan members wonder if the weak scholar simply dragged down the elite squad. Looking through the crowd, the hero spots his cheerful wife and daughter happily greeting him upon his return. Returning home, the protagonist smiles warmly at his family after arriving at the estate. Walking toward the hall, the vice captain mentions that the patriarch is thrilled with their big victory. Clenching his fist, the officer admits he feels guilty taking full credit for a monster they could never defeat alone. Showing deep respect, the entire squad bows together and begs their captain to claim the true glory himself. Calling them far too honest, the hero refuses because he despises the extra trouble that fame brings. Shocked by his words, the officer realizes that neither the patriarch nor his own wife knows his real power. Curious about his decision, the officer asks why the hero chose to reveal his strength to them. The hero explains that he protected them as captain, while asking them to keep his true power secret. When the young fighters worry about other demons challenging them, the squad gets completely hyper. Laughing out loud, the Dark Warrior casually promises to crush any dangerous enemy that comes after them. Accepting his secret, the vice captain turns around and tells his squad to steal their resolve. He shouts that they will be praised as legendary heroes as the smiling protagonist walks in with them. Inside the main hall, the delighted patriarch praises the group for achieving such a massive victory. Bowing respectfully before the leader, the vice captain feels thrilled by such a grand reception. He recalls that even a wounded archdemon possessed strength equal to their powerful grandmaster. Staring at the smiling hero, the officer secretly wishes he could reveal who actually slayed the archdemon. Suddenly, a calculating elder steps forward to discuss how famous the squad will soon become across the land. While the patriarch agrees, the manipulative noble questions if a simple scholar can manage such major duties. Feigning genuine concern, the ambitious man offers to relieve the son-in-law from his heavy captain role. Asking for a proper replacement, the old leader listens as the noble shamelessly nominates his own son, Do-hwan. Reminded of his previous refusal, the sneaky elder insists his child is finally prepared to take over. Seeing the elder claim his son is ready, the vice captain gets shocked until the hero stops him from speaking. Agreeing that Do-hwan is qualified, the patriarch decides to ask the squad directly for their opinion. Addressing the squad, the old leader asks if they want to replace their current captain with a new leader. Stepping forward together, the entire squad bows deeply and declares that they only recognize their current leader. Later in a private room, the furious elder complains about the squad openly rejecting his son in front of everyone. Unbothered by the rejection, Do-hwan calmly drinks tea while noting that the squad was just protecting themselves. Remembering their firm stance, the young man finds it strange how fiercely the squad defended their humble captain. Noticing their sudden loyalty, the young noble realizes the squad firmly accepts the scholar as their new center. Unwilling to give up, the sneaky pair plots to test that bond and force the captain to step down on his own. Meanwhile, back at home, the sweet little girl happily runs into her father's arms to give him a tender embrace. While cuddling his child, the protagonist suddenly freezes after sensing a terrifying cold aura from his wife. Looking at him with serious eyes, his worried wife unexpectedly asks him to quit his role in the combat squad. Gripping her dress tightly, she reveals how terrified she felt knowing he faced a notorious archdemon. Tearfully, she expresses her deep terror of losing him, making the hero realize how blind he was to her true feelings. Feeling terribly guilty, the protagonist apologizes and immediately offers to quit his new squad to ease her mind. Stopping his words, the caring wife admits she knows how deeply attached he became to his loyal teammates. Instead of making him leave, she holds up 2 fingers and asks her surprised husband to agree to 2 conditions. 1 week later, the Dark Warrior peacefully watches his sweet daughter cutely practicing martial arts with a wooden stick. Gripping his wooden blade, the hero prepares to swing as he recalls the very first promise he made to his wife. Her second condition requires him to formally learn martial arts so he can protect himself during future tasks. After finishing his basic swing, the hero senses someone approaching and turns around to meet the elder son Do-hwan. While greeting the scholar with fake respect, the ambitious noble secretly looks down on him as a clueless fool. Recalling recent events, the young noble wonders why the elite squad members respect such an ordinary scholar. Offering his assistance, the sneaky master puts on a friendly smile while the protagonist easily sees through his scheme. The noble argues that true growth requires real combat experience to prepare for dangerous battles ahead. Placing his hands together, the arrogant opponent politely challenges the scholar to a light sparring match. The hero wonders if their gap in skill is too wide, but the noble reassures him that they will only practice lightly. Asking him to show his basic swing, the young noble points out flaws in his balance as he demonstrates. Playing along, the scholar pretends it is difficult before the arrogant noble invites him to attack with full power. Tightening his grip on the wooden blade, the Dark Warrior suddenly surges forward with explosive speed. Closing the distance instantly, the hero brings his weapon straight down toward his opponent's face. Unleashing a wave of terrifying dark aura, the overwhelming intent leaves the arrogant opponent screaming in total terror. Collapsing onto the dirt in total shock, the trembling noble stares up as the hero politely asks if he is all right. Panting in total shock, the flustered noble cannot even comprehend the terrifying pressure he just experienced. Later on the training ground, the entire squad stands in formation and respectfully salutes their leader. Approaching the squad, the protagonist playfully asks if they still plan to make him step down. Terrified of losing him, the flustered fighters quickly blame their officer, while the man clears his throat. Realizing their weakness during the last battle, the respectful officer bows deeply and begs for training. Noticing their serious resolve, a dark red light flashes across the warrior's eye. Accepting their request, the dark warrior warns his excited team to prepare for brutal instruction ahead. Smiling gently, the dark warrior warns that his strict training methods will be extremely grueling for the entire squad. While drinking tea inside, he watches them carry massive boulders to rebuild their physical strength from scratch. Even though others believe it is too late, the hero sees their hidden potential to reach a much higher realm. Noticing a presence on the roof, the protagonist realizes the young noble Do-won is secretly spying on their workout. Watching from above, the flustered noble recalls the terrifying dark aura that recently shattered his mind. Haunted by that endless nightmare, the suspicious master decided to investigate the scholar's true identity himself. However, while secretly spying on the family, he got completely distracted by how adorable the young daughter is. Seeing their happy life makes the young noble consider starting a family before shaking the silly thought away. Frustrated that he learned nothing about the scholar, the noble watches as the man quietly reads a book. Meanwhile, the dark warrior praises his squad and promises to grant their ultimate wish if they finish his training. Watching from the roof, the young noble grows confused as the fighters cheer with burning passion. Later that night, the hero walks into the dark forest, while the stealthy noble follows him to reveal his identity. Sensing his stalker, the hero vanishes into the night sky as the annoyed noble quickly gives chase. Sprinting up the steep cliff, the young noble barely catches up while wondering how a simple scholar moves so fast. Spotting his target ahead, the young master gets confused as brilliant golden light coats the hero-drawn blade. Unleashing a massive upward strike, a brilliant wave of divine energy cuts straight through the dark clouds. As moonlight bathes the mountain peak, the dark warrior calmly sheathes his weapon under the clear night sky. Dropping to his knees in total shock, the terrified noble finally realizes the impossible gap between them. Later back at the estate, the protagonist quietly reads a book as the young noble walks up to confront him. Staring at his peaceful captain, the young master directly asks if he was the one who defeated the archdemon. The young noble claims he knows the squad well and asks what the scholar plans to do next. Smiling softly, the protagonist replies that his only goal is to protect his family and home from the world. With a cold look, he adds that he will show zero mercy to anyone who threatens his loved ones. Overwhelmed by his incredible resolve, the young master drops to his knees and begs to join his unit. Onlookers watch in complete shock as the noble joins the squad in their brutal daily training. Walking through the courtyard, the dark warrior feels amazed as he watches everyone push past their limits. He realizes these dedicated fighters are the exact same legendary squad members from his past life. Resolving to change their tragic fate, the hero vows to prevent a miserable end for his squad. Standing under the bright sunlight, the dark warrior resolves to secure a better future for everyone. When the protagonist orders a 2-day break, the dramatic squad panics, thinking he is giving up on them. The captain laughs as the stubborn fighters loudly demand more grueling workouts instead of resting. Seeing their muscles strain to the limit, the hero explains that proper recovery builds true strength. Interrupting their conversation, the squad notices his adorable little daughter peeking from behind the door. Stepping forward to greet them cutely, the sweet child instantly causes the tough warriors to melt. When the giant warrior gently greets the little girl, she shyly hides behind her father robes. Teasing his teammate, the hero jokes about her reactions, while the giant fighter cries over his scary looks. Seeing him tear up, the sweet child cutely hands him a handkerchief to comfort the emotional warrior. Interrupting their happy moment, the young master Pung Sojin arrives to praise the squad for their hard work. Approaching with a warm smile, the young master asks the protagonist for a personal favor. Inviting his brother-in-law outside, the young master offers to take a peaceful walk together through the nearby village. Walking through the village, locals hand the young master delicious food while thanking him for always protecting them. Sitting inside a peaceful pavilion, the young man asks about their old home before sharing how this spot brings him peace. Recalling his past, he reveals how he vowed to protect the locals after seeing their desperate fear of bandits. Reflecting on the ambush, the young man feels grateful to survive and regrets not properly thanking his mysterious savior. Looking directly at his relative, the young master admits he suspects his humble brother-in-law was that hero all along. Curious about his motivation, the young man wonders why such a powerful warrior chose to secretly rescue him. Looking over the peaceful scenery, the protagonist gently explains that he saved him because he accepted him as family first. Recalling his return, the scholar admits he expected heavy humiliation, yet his relative warmly embraced him as a true brother. Offering full support, the young master urges him to rely on their clan, so he can live freely without hiding anymore. Reassuring his relative, the young master promises to stand by his side since true family needs no other reason. Meanwhile, inside the estate, anxious clan members gossip about dangerous incoming guests known for causing severe trouble. Inside the hall, a worried elder asks the Grandmaster why he accepted the notorious Surimdan squad from the Alliance. Created by the Alliance, this elite group consists of hand-picked prodigies trained specifically to battle evil factions. Despite claiming to seek guidance, these arrogant young fighters leave a trail of violent destruction wherever they go. Explaining their ruthless nature, the elder warns that even famous noble families recently suffered heavy humiliation from them. The Grandmaster insists on receiving the Alliance squad as scheduled, knowing that turning them away would cause bigger trouble. Watching from a mountain cliff, the arrogant members of the Surimdan squad prepare to make their move on the estate. Arriving at the main entrance, the elite group steps into the clan grounds while nervous servants guide them inside. While walking through the courtyard, the rude prodigies mock other noble clans and talk about the defeated archdemon. Silencing his loud squad members, leader Jo Min commands everyone to quiet down as they move further into the estate. Meanwhile, nearby, the protagonist's cute daughter happily plays kickball with her maid under the bright sun. Spotting the adorable child, the arrogant fighters completely freeze in awe while the guide panics in silence. Learning the child is the Grandmaster granddaughter, the squad leader asks to meet her. When the nervous guide urges them to move ahead, a female fighter rudely shoves him down. Grabbing the helpless servant, the arrogant prodigies mockingly order him to crawl before them. Suddenly, a toy ball hits them in the face until the calm leader catches it smoothly. Stomping her feet, the brave little girl angrily yells at the intruders for hurting the guide. Annoyed at being called a monster, the aggressive woman flicks the little girl on the forehead. With a large bump forming on her head, the tearful child holds back her tears in pain. Bursting into tears, the little girl cries while a giant squad member steps in to confront the female attacker. When the arrogant visitors complain about hospitality, the big fighter warns them to act respectfully first. Clapping his hands, the visiting leader steps in to stop the fight from escalating any further. Releasing a dark aura, the vice captain demands an explanation for hurting their family. Recognizing the famous squad, the visiting leader apologizes and proposes a friendly sparring match instead. The vice captain realizes the clever guest is dragging them into a dangerous trap to test their true power. Meanwhile, nearby, the maid comforts the crying child while the bruised guide recovers in silence. Accepting the challenge with a confident smirk, the vice captain agrees to step up for a duel. Meanwhile, inside the main hall, the old Grandmaster casually chats with his son about the visiting squad. Interrupting their talk, a terrified messenger rushes inside to reveal that the guests laid a hand on little Yule. Exploding in total rage, the Grandmaster shatters the furniture and swears to destroy the arrogant intruders. To prevent a massive disaster, the calm young master heads out alone while his father remains behind. Back at the courtyard, the visiting leader proposes one-on-one matches between their squads. The giant squad warrior promises to hold back before stepping out to challenge his first opponent. An arrogant opponent from the visiting squad steps up and politely asks for a fair match. Moving instantly, the giant fighter unleashes a heavy blow that slams directly into his enemy's sword. Shocked by the unbelievable power, the visitor gets blown backward and coughs on the ground. Disgusted by the poor display, his dark leader harshly scolds him for humiliating their alliance. Tightening his grip on the weapon, the humiliated fighter forces himself back up to continue. Refusing to give up, he roars with anger and leaps forward to attack once more. Unleashing a deadly surprise attack, the ruthless visitor delivers a lethal slash across the giant fighter body. Blood scatters everywhere as the heavy warrior collapses onto the floor in front of his terrified squad. Rushing to his fallen friend, the furious vice captain holds his bleeding neck while confronting the attacker. The arrogant visitors mockingly laugh together before the attacker offers a fake apology for his actions. Smirking coldly, the ruthless fighter asks if the injury is truly fatal while the officer stares in disbelief. Unbothered by the damage, the arrogant guest casually suggests continuing their sparring match as planned. Gritting his teeth in pure rage, the furious officer looks up as a dark figure steps into the courtyard. Stepping into the courtyard, the protagonist introduces himself as the official captain to the visiting leader. When the arrogant guest asks for a fun match, the hero proposes a gauntlet duel while claiming to be the weakest fighter. Believing the hero is joking, the visiting leader accepts the duel as the protagonist prepares his weapon. Charging forward with a wild roar, the confident opponent leaps into the air to strike down the hero. Effortlessly countering the attack, the Dark Warrior launches his enemy flying, leaving everyone in utter disbelief. Smiling with glowing red eyes, the hero casually invites the remaining fighters to challenge him next. Gritting his teeth in frustration, the arrogant leader realizes the simple scholar secretly hid his true strength. Calling his fallen teammate complete trash, the visiting leader arrogantly ignores the warning to step forward. Boasting that he was raised as a top genius, the arrogant leader warns the hero about his fierce sword skills. Unbothered by the threat, the hero mockingly shrugs, causing the furious leader to surge with violent energy. Onlookers instantly recognize the villain technique as a legendary martial art passed down from ancient grandmasters. Moving with explosive speed, the furious leader launches a rapid barrage of lethal strikes directly at the hero. Effortlessly parrying every incoming blade, the hero smiles while his opponent grows frustrated from missing every hit. Pushed to his limit, the enraged attacker smashes the ground to prepare an even bigger strike. Leaping high into the air, the arrogant leader unleashes a massive blue strike that the Dark Warrior deflects effortlessly. Staggering back in total shock, the flustered attacker panics after seeing his ultimate technique blocked so easily. Before the arrogant master can react, the hero appears right behind him and whispers that his turn has finally come. Raising his wooden sword, the Dark Warrior unleashes a wave of suffocating pressure over his helpless enemy. Overwhelmed by pure terror, the visiting leader feels his entire mind shatter under the overwhelming aura. Paralyzed with fear, the defeated fighter drops to his knees while the hero holds a weapon against his neck. Deciding to spare his opponent, the Dark Warrior calmly sheathes his weapon and suggests ending the duel right here. Seeing their hero win, the White Wolf squad cheers loudly in total celebration. Meanwhile, the visiting fighters check on their wounded teammate, who feels relieved to survive. Congratulating his relative, the young master promises to report the victory without revealing the hero's secret identity. Stopping him gently, the hero explains that he wants to speak with him separately about a different matter. Inside his room, the humiliated visiting leader destroys everything in sight while screaming in pure rage. Refusing to accept his embarrassing loss, the angry leader commands his group to leave the estate immediately. When a teammate suggests resting first, the psychotic leader violently strikes his own subordinate across the face. Staring down his terrified squad, the evil master threatens to eliminate anyone who dares talk back to him. Late at night, the disgraced visiting squad quietly packs up and leaves the estate ground. Standing high above on the roof, the protagonist watches the rude guests depart into the dark. Walking through the quiet forest, the flustered leader tries to recover his lost pride. Recalling the terrifying duel, the young master remembers feeling the suffocating pressure of pure death. Clenching his fist, the arrogant leader vows to avoid the Dark Warrior forever to protect his future. Without any warning, strange black beads drop to the ground and detonate right beside his neck. A sudden poison bomb explodes in the dark woods, revealing terrifying cultists who surround the group. Recognizing the skull crest, the young leader panics after realizing they face the infamous Black Death Squad. When a terrified member attempts to flee into the forest, a flying blade takes his life in a second. With their energy blocked by the poison gas, the selfish leader resolves to survive, even if he abandons everyone. Stepping forward, the arrogant leader asks what the sinister enemy wants from them. The evil cultist promises to spare one person who swallows deadly poison to become their secret spy. When his teammate tries to sacrifice herself, the selfish leader interrupts to offer himself as the far superior choice. Ignoring his teammate's furious outburst, the traitor heartlessly asks the killers to eliminate his own squad. Amused by his ruthlessness, the evil cultists happily agree and strike down the cursing survivors. Patting his head, the old cultist praises the young man and demands he prove his worth to the Black Death Squad. Bowing submissively, the cowardly leader promises to follow every order to save his own skin. Out of nowhere, fresh blood splatters across his face as the cultists behind him are suddenly cut down. Before the traitor can react, a brilliant flash of golden aura completely obliterates the entire enemy squad. Stepping out from the shadows, the Dark Warrior notes that the cowardly traitor fulfilled his terrible prediction. While the villain screams in despair, the hero recalls how this man also betrayed everyone in his former life. Declaring that everyone must pay for their choices, the protagonist instantly ends the traitor's life with a blade. Looking over the bodies, the hero suggests reporting that both groups destroyed each other during the clash. Admitting that false glory matters little to dead men, the Dark Warrior chooses to protect the alliance standing. Watching his relative, the young master wonders how the hero knew every detail about the enemy attack in advance. Elsewhere, an ink brush suddenly slips across paper as someone gets interrupted while painting. Inside a dim hall, a masked scout reports the total elimination of their elite assassins to his shadowy master. Disgusted by the embarrassing news, the ruthless cult leader unleashes dark energy to crush his own messenger on the spot. As servants clear the room, the white-haired master wonders what powerful enemy secretly interfered with their plans.